All right, 8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Years ago, gosh, at least maybe even 25, 30 years ago, you and I were doing a radio show, and we had a lot of people coming to us and saying, hey, I made a record, or I made a cassette, I think, in those days, so maybe CDs were around, I can't remember. But anyway, could you have us on? And, oh gosh, it was so hard to take the morning show and just simply make it a place where local talent got a little bit of exposure. And so we decided to create an evening show. And what did we call that thing? Center Stage.
That's it.
We called it Center Stage. And so Center Stage was created. It was an hour-long show, and we would feature one recording artist from our listening area, which was pretty far, pretty much here in Central Florida. And we would invite music makers to be on the show. I was expecting, back in those days, now this was like 30 years ago, I was expecting young guys, young girls, and we did have a few of them. But you know who showed up the most? It was these guys who were influenced by the Beatles, these guys who were influenced by James Taylor. They would come in with acoustic guitars, and they were awesome. They were just unbelievable. And you would always ask yourself the question, I wouldn't want to offend them, but why? I mean, how is it possible that you're so good, and yet you're kind of still small time,
Yeah.
It was one of those why kind of moments. And I don't know the answer. I still don't know the answer, but I think I know somebody who might have a theory about this. He's on the phone, and it sounds like he could have been on that show. He could have been one of those people who blows us away with his music. His name is David Berner, David W. Berner. He is a broadcast journalist, a writer, an award-winning best-selling author, and he's got a book called October Song. It's a memoir. I just want to read you the beginning of the information that was sent to us. It says here, in the vinyl era, David W. Berner played rock and roll in a neighborhood garage band. Decades later, at the age of 57, he enters a national songwriting contest, and to his surprise is named a finalist and called to perform the song live at a storied venue for Americana music. So this sounds like those stories. And he's taken that whole experience and lived a dream that he had when he was much younger, and helped us understand what that was like by writing a book about it. Again, the book is called October Song. Love the title, by the way. David Berner, good morning, sir. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you very much. Yeah, I sound like one of those guys that you were familiar with back in the day.
And it was always a mystery.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Music has always been a part of my life, and as you mentioned, I played in bands. Never.
Okay, David, the phone is not working. Are you on a speakerphone by chance, or something you can change? Did he go away?
No, he's still there.
David, you there? Oh boy,
He's still there.
all right, the phone line is not behaving.
All right.
The book is called October Song. David, where are you? He's not even responding.
Okay.
It's gone. and I'm not blaming the phone system here. I'm just blaming the phone systems in the world, because the world has these crazy phone systems. Sometimes we get a call from Tokyo and it comes in loud and clear, right? I didn't even know where he is. Do you know where he is, Robin? Let me see if it says in his notes where does he live in Pittsburgh? Something Chicago? I don't know. I'm looking at this thing. I see Pittsburgh. I see Chicago. Whoa. Okay, go ahead. Just go ahead and dial it. I'll just let it go on the air. So anyway, it says he grabbed his old guitar and his love of life, and he hit the road. He lived out his musical fantasy that he thought had been buried long ago. Hopefully he answers his phone. David? Oh, there it goes. At least that hasn't changed. The sound of the phone ringing on the other side. David, you there?
Yeah, I lost you. What happened there?
I don't know. Are you driving?
I am driving.
Oh, okay. Where are you? What city are you in?
I'm actually driving to Iowa right now. We're on a trip to Iowa and Kansas for some work we need to do. But would it help if I pulled over?
Yes.
I
think so.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because this signal sounds good right now.
This sounds pretty good right now. Yeah, I don't know if you're able to pull over. Only if it's safe.
Oh, yeah. It's safe.
Yeah. Okay, going to Iowa.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to Iowa City. But I don't know where we got cut off. But, the trip was a bit of a fluke to this songwriting contest in it turned out to be a real story about whether, the dreams in life. That dream that you have when you were 24, what happens to you when you're 50? Do you give it up, or do you move forward, or do you keep stretching for that dream? And it turned into a story really about growing old and figuring out what's important in life.
Well, there are two ways of looking at something like this, and I know guys who play baseball, like on those fantasy teams, but they never, and they always had a dream, But there's two ways of looking at it. You can do it like you're doing it, or you can do it and not worry about making a living at it. It's two different ways. Does making a living at it matter as much as simply doing it?
I think that's a really good question. I think simply doing it, at least for me, was really important. I've always been sort of a storyteller, songwriter, creative person, and the doing and the actual work is so much more important to me than whether I'm going to make $100 that night. Maybe that's not necessarily a good thing in the long run, but I almost get more out of it than I would if it was a monetary gain.
And are you getting more out of it than if you had been the 20-year-old sensation? I mean, you would have been a has-been by now. It's in a way, it's better that you're doing something now, right?
What are you saying, Larry? I don't know.
Well, because there's very few. There's very few guys and ladies who are still out there that were hits when they were 20.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think it sounds kind of cliche, but I think it's true that we gain knowledge as we get older. We hope we do, and we gain perspective on our lives and what's most important. When we're 20 years old, we think we're immortal, and we believe that everything is going to work out in some way for us. But when we're 50 or 55 or whatever, we start to rethink what's important, and I think it becomes more clear, and maybe having this sort of interesting development of my life at that time made it even more special than it would if I were 20.
So since you've written a book, I'm assuming that means a lot of the music is your own songs, especially since you won a songwriting contest. Do you perform exclusively 100% your own material?
Well, no, not necessarily. No, when I was playing more regularly, it was kind of a mix. I had written songs off and on, and I some of it I thought were very good songs, and some of it I've even forgotten how to play. No, it's kind of a mix, and I hadn't written a song for a very long time when I sent this song out. It had been a while, and it was a bit of a surprise and a bit of a revelation into, like, oh wow, maybe I still have a little bit of talent here to share with somebody. And I think that's true for a lot of people when they give up a dream or they put it aside for a while and they go back to it. They're like, hey, I'm pretty good at this, and that was a little bit of the revelation.
And the songs are sometimes considered a roadmap to life because they do withstand the test of time, and every generation comes through with the same issues as the previous generation before. Sometimes they'll find a song or a songwriter and gravitate toward that person because you can help them get through whatever it is they need to get through.
Oh yeah, I think your point about songs being a soundtrack of your life, that's very true, and that's very much the case in this book. October Song is really you could make a soundtrack. In fact, I made a Spotify playlist out of the songs in this book. Because I think it does sort of become a soundtrack, like a movie soundtrack almost throughout the book. Because it means a lot to people. Songs mean so much to people. They take you to a particular time in your life or a moment that's important, or how many times have you been driving in a car and you heard a song, you just sing it long and loud, or you start to cry because you hear a song? They mean a lot to us.
You know what I'm always amazed at? We live in Florida, and let's say we go to the let's say St. Augustine. It's kind of a very artsy town, and you happen to walk into a coffee shop or something, and there's some guy who looks like he's probably 50s-ish or so. Which, by the way, Robin and I are 62, so that's young to us. So and you're always amazed at how good they are. How good. And so I'm wondering, what kind of venues are you playing, and what kind of audiences are you playing to?
Well, when I was playing more regularly, it was, your typical taverns or bars or that kind of thing. So those kinds of things were what I was playing. So, but when I played for the songwriting contest, I have to say that most of the people were younger than me. There were a few that were close to my age, maybe, and there were 25 or so, if I remember correctly, finalists in this. We all had to play in front of judges in a big venue, and it was. I would say that I was one of the older folks there.
So the song that got you kicking, was it called "A Better Day"? I just went to your website.
Yeah, Better Day. In fact, if you go to the website there, you can hear the song.
Let me play
it.
Let me play it on the air. Let's see if I can get this. Let's see if I do the buttons thing right here.
That would be great.
Sunken sun is faded.
Here we go.
Silence cries from a weighted heart. It is all this day is left for you. Alone inside night's deepest dream, far from all that is true. Melancholic melody and harmony that's mellowed you. But there's a light on the western sky, setting day has left its mark, and to your surprise the sun will rise to a better day.
Nice. Wow. That's beautiful.
That's great. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know what? I could picture that on vinyl. Have you released it on vinyl?
No, I have not. It's the only way you can find it is the way you did. I think there might be a YouTube video out there, maybe of something from that night. Yeah, I'm not even sure about that, because the venue we went to was called Rapunzel's, and it's a well-known sort of Americana place it's just outside of Charlottesville, Virginia. And it's Dave Matthews Country, by the way. It's where he started.
Okay.
And there was some talk and some rumors, and I don't know whether it's true or not, that he may have played in this place at one time. But it's a pretty big venue. It's well known. It's a lot of people, a lot of very talented people were there that night. I have to say, I felt very small, but it was a great experience, and it really opened up my eyes to a lot of things about art and love and life and surviving and getting old and being young, and that's what October Song, the book, is really all about.
Yeah, I picked up on that. So what was it like for you? I mean, do you feel like you've been given a new opportunity to do this thing that you really had a passion for, but somehow reason it never connected before?
That's a really good question. I hadn't really thought. I mean, I haven't really played a lot since then. I mean, I have some, but not a lot. And most of it's for fun. I played at a Bob Dylan tribute concert one night, and a few things like that. So, but nothing, really big or spectacular. But I still, when I play and I have a chance to play, I really do love it. It's a special feeling for me. And, I feel like I'm 18 years old again with that, less ball around me or something. But it's a great feeling. And it's a lot of fun. And I wish I'd play more. I really wish I could and would think about playing more. But I do a lot more writing now than I do song singing or writing. So.
Oh, you share your opportunities in life, the opportunities that you have had. You were an educator, we were told, in one of Chicago's most troubled school districts, and you must have made a huge impression on some of the students that you taught, for them to get out of the situation they were in to become very successful on their own right.
Nice of you to say that. I mean, I don't want to speak for the students, but I wrote a book about it called Accidental Lessons, which was my first book, and it's called Accidental Lessons because I feel like I was the one who got the education, and it was quite an experience for me. It's something that will always live with me and stay with me. That experience teaching in that school district, and I have one student that I've He's contacted me a few times off and on since she graduated, but I think about those kids often and what they taught me. So it was quite an experience.
So what's your day like now? Now that you're at this point in your life, are you retired from what you might call a regular job, and you're doing this full time?
No, I teach at Columbia College in Chicago. I'm a tenured professor there, and I still do that. I still writing, working on some other projects right now, and I still do some broadcast work in Chicago. That has been a big part of my life too.
You know, one thing you have going for you, which is not always the case, you've got a great speaking voice and a great singing voice, and I don't know how many people ever picked up on the fact that, like, a great singer is not always a great speaker, and vice versa.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm a great singer. I think I can hold a tune relatively well. My range has gotten a lot smaller than when I was 25.
Well, okay, so let me define my definition of a great singer. It's somebody whose singing I enjoy. That's what I think.
Oh yeah. And I also think sometimes we think of someone who is technically great and then someone who interprets well. I think those are two very different things.
Oh yeah,
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Not necessarily technically great, but yet they have this great emotion and pathos in their voice. And there's a lot of those kind of singers out there that I actually probably like a little bit more than I do the technical singers.
And you're a huge advocate for family togetherness.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've gotten. I did a book a few years ago called "Any Road Will Take You There," which is about a road trip I took with my sons, which was really a discovery about an incident that happened with my father many years ago that I didn't know anything about. When I discovered it, it became a sort of catalyst to get me on the road to kind of figure this out and see where it all what it meant to me in my life. And my two sons went along, so that became a book too. But that again was another road trip.
Yeah,
And I think family is family, and we all know that crazy aunt we have that makes us nuts. But we all have parts of our family that are so very important and entwined in our lives, and I think that comes out in the book October Song to some extent too, about how much those things mean to us.
I'm a fan of James Taylor, and I'm a fan of his son. What's his name? Ben Taylor.
Sure, yeah.
But when James Taylor's children were younger, he had an album called "Dad Loves His Work," and I remember at that time he did an interview, and he said, in this album, I'm basically trying to explain to the kids why I'm never home, because Dad loves his work. And I'm thinking, oh man, that bad message. It's almost like you're telling the kids, I love my work more than I love you. Yeah. and the reason I mentioned Ben, his son, is because, well, apparently they turned out okay. Ben and I think Lucy, is that the girl's name? The daughter?
I think so.
But I remember thinking, I don't know if that would be the best choice. Although as a successful recording artist trying to sell records, I guess you have no choice but to be on the road. So maybe things worked out for the best for you.
Yeah, I think that's true. I heard a similar story about fathers and sons. That Bob Dylan's son Jacob Dylan from the Wallflowers also is very well known and very respected. And someone asked him, "Well, what's it like having Bob Dylan as your father?" And he goes, "He's just my dad." And I thought that was very telling. To him, that was his world. His dad was on the road. His dad did musical things, and he just figured that's what everybody did. So I think that, we all have our own relativity when it comes to that.
Well, do you ever have somebody show up at one of your gigs and they just, like, you get together with that person, they've got a guitar, you've got a guitar, you've never met, but you kind of click for that night? Musically.
Oh, I've had that happen. Yeah, that hasn't happened in a while. I have a friend that we've had for some time now that brought his guitar over to the house one night, and we just knew enough and could play off of each other enough that it was fun. I haven't done that as much as I used to do, but when I do it, it's a kick. And there are some times that you don't click with somebody necessarily, but I think many times if it's a give and take, and it works very well. And I think there was it's something musicians have. It's sort of that some kind of inner connection that even if you don't know the person very well, that somehow you can make it work. And it's a really, really fun thing. It's a good thing.
The book is called October Song. David W. Berner has written more than one book, by the way. If you check out his website, go to davidwberner.com. Don't put David Berner, because that's a different guy. I found.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, make sure you put that W in there. And I found you on Amazon. The book has great ratings. 21 people so far have left a review, and it's like 4.5 stars. That's not bad, David. Well, be careful out there. Thank you for what you're doing and giving inspiration to all the rest of us who might be singing their October song.
Well, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show and being able to get back on after that technical glitch, too. I appreciate that. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you. All right, we will take a little break, and we'll be right back.